Hi, I'm Beverly Payne, and this is Payne and Simple Makes. Thanks for joining me today. So, I took a few minutes today to get back to my first love, which is making cards. I haven't made any in a little while, and I ran across this barn door fold technique, and I thought I've got to give it a try. So, this tutorial is showing you how to make a card using a barn fold, which is you have this door here, and then you've got two doors down here. So this card uses some scrapbooking dimensional cutouts, adhesive stickers really, that are layered that I found, and they work really nice for this particular card. On this card I actually designed this elk from a picture that I took. I designed this elk, and so you could, if you have a Cricut or a Silhouette, you can download the SVG and cut it out. There's also a PDF pattern if you choose that, if you prefer that. Just go to my Maker library and you'll be able to download it from there for free. So we build dimension with these particular elements that I have on the front, but on the inside I've also used stamps. I've used a happy birthday stamp, one that I've had for years and years and years. So there's quite a few techniques that you can learn through this tutorial, and you'll actually get to see some of the mistakes that I've made. That's okay though, I promised you that I would show you those. So I hope that you enjoy this tutorial. If you like it, please click like and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to see some cards that you make using this barn door fold. If you're going to make an elk card, you'll need to download the SVG from my Maker library. Open Cricut Design Space or your other cutting software and click New Project. For some reason my Cricut Maker is reacting very slowly today. Once you have your hands up, click Upload Image, and then browse for the file wherever you saved your elk SVG. Yours may be called something different. It may just be elk. So you'll see the black silhouette of the elk. You want to click Upload and then Insert Image, and it's going to place it on your canvas. Now check the size. It's about 8 by 6.5 or so. I don't want it that big for my card, so I am going to adjust the size, and so I want it about 3 inches wide. And make sure your lock is engaged in order to keep it proportional. Click Make It. So we're going to make a birthday card today that might be suitable for a male in your life. I know sometimes it's hard to find greeting cards or even make a greeting card that really kind of suits the guys in your lives, but my husband's birthday is tomorrow, so I'm going to give this a go. You're going to need basically 4 different colors of cardstock and or paper. So I have chosen this nice kind of sage green as my base, and I'm going to put all the dimensions of these in my post so you can look to see exactly how you need to cut things. But you also need a couple of pieces of white. And this is actually paper, it's not cardstock, it's just designer paper that complements. And then I also have some foil that I'm using too, and this is kind of like cardstock as far as weight's concerned, but again I'll put all of those dimensions for all the cuts in my post so that you'll know exactly how to cut your paper. The other thing I have, and this is optional, is that I drew and cut out this elk. So if you want this elk SVG or pattern, it's in my Maker library. Just join, download it for free, and you're good to go. You're also going to need some kind of adhesive. I like to use double-sided tape, and I'm also going to be using these foam dots, and I'm not sure yet if I'm going to use these big circles or if I'm going to use some of these smaller squares, but that is really to give some dimension to my elk here. And then you also need, you don't need this is optional again, but this is just a corner punch. It's not really the way I want it to look, but we're going to give it a go. And you also need something to make score lines, like a bone folder or this instrument here. Okay. So we're going to start with our main card. And by the way, in case you were wondering, I cut all of my cardstock and paper out on this old Fiskars really big paper cutter that I've had for years. It works great. Okay, so I have got this piece of paper, and I think it's like 5 by 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score it at the 7-inch mark. And there are easier ways of doing this, but this is one way. And I'm going to go over this a couple of times because I just want a really good score line here. So you can see this is going to work out nicely. Okay. All right, so I've got these little pieces, and I am going to score them at 1/2 inch. These are going to be the doors on this barn fold. Again, I do it about 3 times. I just want to get a good fold in there. Some of you may have one of those little scoring gadgets. That would be really nice, but most of my scoring, I usually don't have to do a whole lot of scoring, so I really haven't invested in one of those yet. Okay, so what we're going to do now, and you could use glue if you wanted to do that, but we're going to glue these doors. I hope you can see. We're going to glue these doors down here, just like that. Well, I say we're going to glue. I'm using my double-sided tape. Now the trick with double-sided tape sometimes is that it may be too wide, but I think it's actually going to be perfect for our 1/2 inch fold there. So I put it even with this bottom edge, right? And I did not get that turned over correctly, or positioned correctly, I guess I should say. So I'm going to fold a little bit of that back. And again, we want it right on the edge, right on that corner. That wasn't it. It was close. There we go. Okay. All right, so here's our basic card so far. So when I started this site, I told you that I would show you the great things and then also some of the things that didn't turn out so great. So my mistakes, in other words. And I just made one. I actually put that score line on the wrong side of that paper and I realized it. So I've cut some new paper and I'm going to adhere this door, these doors down again. So I just pulled them up, the old ones up, recut these since I had kind of messed that up, and I'm going to put these new ones down. I did not do that enough. Get enough of that. Okay. So yeah, that was not my finest moment there. I was just all excited about getting started, I guess. So how did I realize that that was wrong? Well, when I fold my doors, when I close my doors and then fold this top down, it should overlap. I don't know if you can see that, but it should overlap. Mine was not overlapping. In fact, it was just barely meeting, and it did not look very good. So make sure that before you glue yours down or use the double-sided tape that you check that. Okay, at this point I want to round the corners, and I wish I had a different stamp, or a different punch, but this will do. So you want to put the corner all the way up in there and give it a good go there. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Oops. Okay, so you can see what those corners look like now. All right, so let's start to use our foil. So you want to glue or use your double-sided tape, however you're going to do this. Just get that down. And then this first piece is going to go right here in the middle of your card. And I just try to line it up as best I can, eyeballing it. And now we've got a piece that's going to go here. It's this bigger piece, but we need to cut the corners. And I think I'm going to cut this corner. And that way it will match and fit nicely there. So again, use your glue or your double-sided tape. If you make a lot of cards, glue is way more economical. But sometimes it's just easier to work with the double-sided tape. Okay, so now we also want to do our door flaps. And I have cut my flap too long. Let's just cut that off. Let's see if that is going to be the right size. Yep, I think that'll work. Cut this one off before I get the tape on there. Okay. All right. So we're going to put this on the inside, but we need to stamp our sentiment, or I want to stamp our sentiment first. So I'm using this stamp that I've had since 1977, Happy Birthday. And I think because this is so long, I'm going to go Happy, Happy Birthday. And I have my old olive stamping spot, and I'm just going to ink Happy. Trying to make sure I've got it inked well though. No rocking. That looks good. So we're going to do Happy again. And now I think I'm going to do all of it. So it's going to be Happy, Happy, Happy Birthday. It's barely going to fit. All right. I'm not quite done with that stamp, but for now we're good. Okay, so it's time to adhere this big card to the inside. You have to put a little more tape right there because that corner is wanting to come up. I'm not okay with that. It's got to stay down. Okay, so I have space down here where I can write a little note to my husband. Pieces. This one is going to go up here on top, but again I need to cut the corners or punch the corners. So the punch that I think would work best for this that I don't have is one that doesn't have the little notches on it, so that it would just be round. That would look more like a barn door, to be honest. But I think this will work. All right, so now we have these two pieces here we're going to mount on the doors. Now, you may notice that I've got my pattern running different directions on the top and bottom doors. And that's okay if you like that, which I do. I think it looks nice. But you don't have to do it that way, of course. You know, it depends on what your pattern is too. All right, we have our elk that we want to mount. And I actually think that I'm going to use 2 of these smaller foam squares just to give this big boy a little extra support. And I'm going to look to see if there's one, I may like him better this way. So I'm going to put one of those dots near the rear and then another one up here on the neck. I hope you enjoyed this barn door fold card tutorial today. If so, click like below, hit subscribe, and for more projects, go to beverlypayne.com. Thanks.